Uh, Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Q&A with accounting program directors. My name is Fionnuala Doris, and I'm the MA one-year program director, and I'm joined this morning by Jackie Deegan, who is the program director for both the two-year MA in accounting and for the HDIP in professional accounting. Morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Fionnuala.
Jackie, I thought it might be helpful this morning if before we start talking about the details about the programme, perhaps we could have a conversation about why would a student be interested in doing a postgraduate in accounting at all, in whatever the university is, and then perhaps I will talk about why Maynooth University would be a good choice for the student.
Absolutely, I think that's a good idea, Fionnuala, before we kind of delve into the specifics of the programmes we have on offer. Gone are the days of this image we have of accountants in back offices surrounded by dusty old ledgers, number crunching all day long. The profession has changed an awful lot over the years and offers very exciting career opportunities. Now, we're all used to the standard route where the accountant goes in and does a training contract with one of the accountancy practices, and that can be 3.5 years depending on what route you take. So that is in itself is a very challenging and interesting career path to take. But about 25% of students stay within practice. A lot of students decide to leave. And the thing about accountancy is that you can work in any industry. All companies need finance professionals to steer them to success. So you can take up a role in financial services, that's things like banking, insurance, aviation, fund management. Like all the major banks and leading financial services companies are here on our doorsteps in the IFSC. You can go the manufacturing route, maybe pharmaceuticals, technology. Maybe you prefer to work in non-profit organizations, fashion, entertainment, you name it. And there's also very exciting areas like forensic accounting and fraud with all this cyber security. I always have this image of working for the Criminal Assets Bureau where you're tracing drug money off to the Cayman Islands. So there's loads of exciting opportunities. And as a side, that Chicago mobster Al Capone that we all know of, he was taken down by accountants rather than the police for tax evasion. So we really do have our uses. So on top of the fact that you can work in any industry, it's also very good if you're considering owning your own business, being an entrepreneur at some stage in your career. Also, the global recognition that a chartered accountant has means that you can work anywhere. Basically, with chartered accountants themselves, that particular organization, they're working in about 200 countries around the world. So it's a mobile kind of qualification that you can take with you. And the other thing about accountancy that we really have to put a value on is the skill sets that you learn during your training contract. As I say, the numerical side, a lot of that now is taken over by technology. So we tend to be more involved with strategy, advising, consulting. So during your training contract, you really learn key skills like, critical thinking, problem solving, how to be a business leader, strategy. You also there's a lot of emphasis on things like ethics and integrity. They're all skills that employers really love in a prospective employee. And this really kind of like a fourth level qualification. And I suppose finally, what's really another very attractive aspect of accountancy is job mobility. You can move from industry to industry, from company to company, and develop your skills. And the more you develop your skills, the more marketable you become. So you could start off in a large corporate, maybe in their finance department, doing things like financial reporting, maybe treasury. Then you might decide, I'd like to learn more about raising debt or IPOs. Let's move on then maybe to mergers and acquisitions, see what goes on there. Or you might decide, listen, I'll leave entirely and might do consulting or wealth management, stockbroking, teaching. There's so many things you can do. So it really leads to a career path of choice, and that can be at home or abroad. But I would point out that it is, it's not an easy route. The exams are tough. It requires hard work and determination, but the outcomes can be very, very attractive. So if you feel that accountancy is something that really interests you, and it's something that would offer you the opportunities that you would like your career to offer, your next question then is, where should I pursue my studies? So Fionnuala, now, if you could enlighten the students as to why Maynooth really should be their first port of call.
Thanks, Jackie. I think absolutely. I think the accounting is an absolutely fantastic profession, as you've outlined, but I also think that Maynooth University is a fantastic place to actually do accounting in. And I wanted to go through some of the areas that why I think Maynooth University really stands out. And one of them is that we have a full suite of accounting programs here at Maynooth University. So, as we've already said, I'm the coordinator for the one-year masters, which is aimed very much at people who have done an accounting-based program, undergraduate degree. You have your full Cap 1 exemptions. But we also have routes through for students who have done very little accounting or no accounting at all. So we have the one-year HTIP in accounting, which is for students where we assume absolutely zero knowledge of accounting. And I think so that gives you full Cap 1 exemption. So you get, in 1 year, you get the same amount of exemptions as you would get if you had done a 3-year undergraduate program. And then we have the option for students who want to go on and in their second year, so in other words, do a 2-year MA. So they do the first year, they do the same course as the HTIP students, and then in the second year, they come into the same class as the 1-year master's students. So in a 2-year cycle, students have the same level of exemptions, full Cap 2 exemptions that they would have got if they had done a 3-year undergraduate degree and their 1-year master's. So in other words, in 2 years, you get what would have taken another student 4 years. So I think that's one of the great advantages of Maynooth, is that's a lot of wriggle room. So you can go in and do your HTIP in accounting and then leave after 1 year with your full Cap 1 exemptions and go get a training contract with a firm. Or alternatively, you can decide to stay on for an additional year and get your full Cap 2 exemptions. So there's just, I think in Maynooth University, we have just really tried our very best to make sure that we have that full suite of programs available to students. The other thing that we do, we have small class sizes. So our class sizes would be anything between 15 to 35 students. We would never have more than that. So again, you've got a small, nice group of people. We do a lot of peer learning. So you have, you're learning from each other by having conversations, by studying together, by, and there is some group work as well in the case studies module. So I think there's that small class sizes on the 1-year masters in particular it's just a very nice experience as a student, that you're not, particularly if you're coming in from outside the university, that you can get to know people easily. We also, our lecturers, and I suppose I'm slightly biased on this because I am one of the lecturers, but I really do think that there's a very dynamic group of lecturers both on the HTIP and on the master's program, and they are all qualified accountants. They've all worked in industry, and so what they're bringing into the classroom, so for example, I lecture in auditing and assurance, and I was an ex-auditor, so I'm very much bringing in my lived experience of being an auditor into the classroom, into the lecture theatre, and sharing that experience with you. So we're talking a lot about live experiences from professional practice that I think, again, just gives a very interesting perspective. I know that on most of the master's programs here in the School of Business, we have a dedicated careers module. Now, due to the amount of material that needs to be covered within the master's program here in Maynooth, we don't have a set-aside module for career development, but we absolutely do career development. So every year we have the Accountancy Showcase, which is an event which I organise, which basically is where all of the large accounting firms and biggest employers within the profession come to Maynooth University and visit, and we have a careers event where there is also academic prizes which are sponsored by the big firms, are also presented at that showcase. It's an opportunity for you as a student to showcase yourself to the key recruiters within the profession, but you are also given preparation for that. So we run workshops about how to attend a careers fair, how to make the best impression. And then in terms of, it's always run just before the accounting applications have to go into the firms for the milk round in October. And we also do a very intensive sessions with you. We get an external consultant who comes in, who does a very intense session with you on how to actually giving you guidance on how to actually complete the accounting application forms, because it can be challenging and quite tricky. And so we found, so it's all about preparing you so that when you go out and do your interview, that you're as well prepared and as polished as properly as we can. We also, on an ad hoc basis, are always happy to do dummy interviews with students during the course of the year, and to give any support that we can or advice that we can give you in terms of getting placed in training contract, and I suppose the proof of the pudding is in the eating, because our alumni are they're throughout the profession, and we and graduates of the 1-year masters in accounting have a very good employment record, as do the other master programs as well. So the other thing as well, I suppose, that sort of, again, I would like to stress about doing accounting in Maynooth University is our reputation within the profession. I've already alluded to the fact that many of our alumni are out there working in the profession, and so and that's due to the fact that we have an excellent reputation. We have an industry advisory council where we have key, very high profile members of the accounting profession sit on that and advise the School of Business. And as I already mentioned, we have 15 academic prizes at undergraduate and postgraduate level that are sponsored by firms, by employers. And I think that speaks very much to the reputation of our programs. There's a prize for the top student on the HDIP in accounting, and there is also a prize. There's 2 prizes on the 1-year masters in accounting. There is which the students who are doing the 2nd year of the 2-year masters are also eligible for. One for the student who gets the best grade in their thesis, and another for the top overall student in accounting on the MA. So I think that really speaks to it. Lastly, I had already alluded to the fact that we have exemptions, and I think one of the things about all 3 of our postgraduate programs is we have absolutely excellent exemptions. So if you, as I mentioned, it's the maximum exemptions that can be given for a higher diploma is Cap 1, and that is given to the here in Maynooth University. And then if you complete either your 2-year masters or your 1-year MA in accounting, if you already have your full Cap 1 exemptions, you are then eligible to graduate with an MA, but also with your full Cap 2 exemptions, and that makes you extremely attractive to employers. I was just thinking before we came on to this taster about the fact that I was thinking back to one of our alumni on the HDIP. And she's quoted on our website, and she talked about the fact that she went out to do the milk round before she had done the HDIP in accounting, and she didn't even get an interview. And having completed her her higher diploma in accounting, she got her dream job in a large accounting firm. And I think, and she herself says when she's discussing it, Karen Murray talking about, she actually talks about the fact that without the HDIP in accounting, she would never have got to where she is in her career now. She's now a qualified accountant. So I hope that gives you a flavour of why it is that you should think about studying accounting. Jackie's already outlined why the accounting profession is such a fabulous profession to be in, but I also hope now that I've given you a flavour of why it is that that you should think about doing accounting here in Maynooth University. As I already mentioned, we have 3 programs, so we thought it might be helpful if we could talk about each of those programs in turn. So Jackie, if it's okay, I'm going to call on you again and ask you to speak about the programs that you're course coordinator for, which is the Higher Diploma in Professional Accounting and the 2-year Masters in Accounting.
Okay, certainly, Fionnuala. So as Fionnuala just mentioned there, I'm program coordinator for the Higher Diploma in Professional Accounting, and this particular course is designed for students who have no background information, no background qualifications, I should say, or undergraduate degree that is kind of relevant. If you have a relevant degree, great, you can still do the higher diploma, but this is for particularly tailored towards those graduates that don't have any kind of business background. So we're really taking you from the very beginning and bringing you right through to the stage where you can get your Cap 1 exemptions for chartered accountancy. So that really means that you come out at the end of the higher diploma having all the knowledge that you would have gained studying 3 years accounting degree at undergraduate level and then doing your higher diploma. So don't be put off by the fact that you may never have studied accounting at any level, or you may not have studied business at any level. You can do this course and it will get you your CAP 1 exemptions. It will also get you the equivalent exemptions from other accountancy bodies like the ACCA or CIMA or CPA, etc. So you don't have to have a business undergraduate degree or an accounting degree to do this, and that's the really important point about this particular course. Obviously, it is demanding for those students who may not have covered any kind of business element in their undergraduate degree, but having said that, it's often the students that don't that can do particularly well at this course. It is intensive in the fact that you will be joining first years, second years, third years at certain points throughout the semester or the 2 semesters so that you can develop your knowledge in accounting. So a lot of work required. In the first semester, there is about 11 lectures without tutorials, so we're talking maybe 15, 16 hours. In the second semester, that with tutorials can go up to 20 hours. So it is quite intensive, particularly where you're undertaking subjects that you haven't done before. But all the lecturers, as Fionnuala have pointed out, have backgrounds in accounting. They know what's required and they will guide you and help you along the way. When it comes to career opportunities, when you have this particular CAP 1 exemption, well, we've already sort of mentioned the opportunities that this opens up. You can go into practice straight away with your CAP 1 and finish off your exams, or as Fionnuala mentioned, you can decide to go ahead and do the masters to obtain your CAP 2 exemptions. When it comes to the 2-year masters, which is another option for graduates who may not have relevant undergraduate degrees or may not have the necessary exemptions to study the accountancy, the 2-year masters is your other option, and basically that is the HDIP program really in year 1. And then you progress onto Fionnuala's program in year 2. So with the HDIP, you're really talking about, HDIP being the higher diploma, sorry, you're talking about covering 5 subjects. So we're going to cover financial accounting, management accounting, finance for accountants, law and taxation. So they're the subjects that we cover. Fionnuala will then explain what we cover in the second year of the Masters in Accounting, which ties in with the 1-year master program. So I think that's really all I want to say. The main point really I wanted to make is that, you know, you can be very successful at this course without having a relevant undergraduate degree. And that's really a real plus about this particular program. So Fionnuala, rather than me going through what we do in the second year of the Masters, it probably makes more sense for you to talk about what you do on the 1-year Masters, because it's the same thing.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jackie. Yes, indeed. So just to explain again, if you choose to do the 2-year masters, you will be doing basically the HDIP in your first year, and then in your second year, you'll be joining the 1-year masters in accounting, because you will now have your CAP 1 exemptions, and you will be joining the class along with all those students who come straight from accounting undergraduate. And so we have 6 modules that we do on the 1-year masters. Now, 4 of them you'll be very familiar with. There's your financial reporting module, your management accounting module, and your taxation module, which you will have done at undergraduate level already. But you'll also, for the first time, to be doing an auditing and assurance module, which I teach. And so they're the 4 pillars that would very much line up with the CAP 2. But in addition to that, on this particular Masters, we have 2 additional modules. So the first of these is a thesis module, where you will have to write a 9,000-word thesis, and under the supervision of one of the accounting lecturers here in the School of Business. It'll be on an accounting or taxation based topic, and you will be given guidance and assistance both in choosing your topic, and then obviously it'll be fully supervised. In addition to that, then there's also then, in addition to the thesis module, there is also a case studies module where we cover and look at contemporary issues in professional practice. And this again is a module that is very much teaching you about how to do the case studies that you will be required to do when you go on to do your FAE. But much more than that, it's also about teaching you about what are the kind of issues and how the issues between all of the 4 key modules are interlinked. So in the real world, when you have a client, you're going out and you're looking at them, you're going to have an understanding of their financial reporting, how they manage their financial management and management accounting issues. You may be out as the auditor, and there may be auditing issues, and then also there will be tax issues. So it's how, if you go out and you're working in a business as an accountant, all 4 of those strands are going to be interlinked. And the case studies module is designed to assist you in being able to think in that lateral way when you're looking at a business. So we have 6 modules. I know there is a question, I can see that come up already, about whether or not the lectures, do they run over the whole week? And yes, they do. So if you can think about the Masters in Accounting, the first year Masters, you'll be very busy up to lunchtime with doing, you'll be doing lectures and tutorials. So in each of the modules, you will have 2 hours of lectures and 1 hour of tutorial each week. And then in addition to that, then in the afternoon, then that'll be where you will be doing your own study and also working on your thesis. So it is a Monday to Friday Masters. And as I said, you'll be busy in lectures and tutorials every morning, and then the afternoon is designed for where you do your own study. And a high level of self-learning is expected and self-study is expected. And so that is the Masters in Accounting. It is and as you can see here on the screen, we have our 6 modules that you study, and you study them over the full year. So they are across both semester 1 and across semester 2 as well. So each semester will be the same. Your exams will be in May, and then your thesis will be completed by the end of June. And so that is how the structure of the Masters is. There isn't any work placement per se on the 1-year Masters, because again, I can see that question coming up. There isn't a work placement mod as part of this. No, it is absolutely, it is covering the material. The course doesn't allow for a specific work placement, though of course you may choose, if you wish to go in and do a work placement in the summer after, either before you join the MA or after you join the MA, but that isn't done through this programme. And so that is the 1-year Masters in Accounting. So I hope at this stage now that you have a flavour of the programmes by myself and Jackie in terms of the 3 years. And Jackie, I suppose at this stage we should pause for questions and maybe take a look and see what questions are coming up and that we might be able to answer them.
Yeah, I just see one question here, Fionnuala. Somebody's asked that what other qualifications or exams you need to do after Cap 1 or Cap 2. So that's just basically you've one final exam to do. It's called the FAE, which is the final admitting exam. And you tend to do that when you're out in practice. That is not really covered off by any 3rd level university. That's done within your training contract.
And that will be consistent with all the other institutes as well, where every institute always makes sure that they are the ones that set, and you have to sit the final admitting exam with that particular institute, whether that's ACCA or whether it's chartered or whether it's CIMA. That's always the way. So, but the exemptions that we do get, Jackie, are from the absolute maximum you can get from any university in Ireland. So, you know, the maximum exemptions any university programme can give you is Cap 2. So, they're at that level.
Yeah, it's amazing. You leave and you just have your final exam to do and then you're done, you know, just to do your training contract and you're finished. But there's another question I see here, Fionnuala, and somebody's asked if it's possible to actually work part-time and undertake the 1-year Masters.
Yeah, I mean, I would. So I know that there are students and they have to work part-time, and I appreciate that. But I would stress that with my experience over the years is that it's very difficult to do a part-time job and to do this Masters. You certainly would, because the idea would be that you are at minimum doing 9 to 5, 9 to 6 on this master's. So as I already mentioned, you've got your lectures and tutorials in the morning, and then you'll be working very hard in the afternoon, studying and more than that. So of course, it may be possible to work a small number of hours part-time, but certainly I know in the past we've had students who've talked about working 20, 30, even full-time basically while they're trying to do the master's, and it is I don't think that's possible. If you want to graduate with your full Cap 2 masters exemptions, because of course remember you will get your masters in accounting if you're getting over 40, but in order to get your exemptions you have to get a clean over 50 in every one of your 6 modules. And it's challenging, you know, because the standard goes up considerably when you come into the masters. So we would often have students who are comfortably getting their 2-1s and firsts at undergraduate level, and they really are working very hard to get over 50 in their modules at master's level, because the standard goes up. You know, there's a big step up in standard when you come onto the master's program. So that would be my sense of it. Just thinking as well, Jackie, there's a question here that's also come up that I know that's often asked of me, particularly in relation to the HDIP in accounting. So we have students who have maybe never studied accounting in the past, and the question that they would always ask me is, do you have to be really good at maths to be an accountant? What do you think?
Well, do you know what, Fionnuala, that's a question that's asked so many times. The assumption is that you have to be a maths brainiac, and that is certainly not the case. Now, we don't do calculus, differentiation, or anything like that, but what I would say is that you would have to enjoy numbers and working with numbers, because, you know, that is the language of accounting, really. So if numbers are not your thing, you won't get any great joy out of studying accounting. But again, it is adding, subtracting, that kind of maths, as opposed to calculus and differentiation and fractions, etc.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you on that. I think you have to enjoy numbers, don't you?
Yeah,
if you want
really
to be an accountant, you really do have to like that idea of sitting down with your calculator and your pen or working on your Excel spreadsheet. But you don't. It's not like as though you have to be brilliant at managing your integration or differentiation. That's not on the agenda. No.
Thankfully. But I must say that even when I was studying accounting, I always found it so much easier, because when you're doing questions that are numeric, the time seems to fly in when you're studying, as opposed to, you know, learning theory and learning stuff off by heart. So for me, I just really liked studying numbers, but that's just my personal preference.
And I was the same, Jackie. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're both accountants.
Absolutely.
Just looking at some of the questions here, I just wanted to ask. So one of them was, is it possible to take an elective module outside of the 1-year Masters in Accounting program, such as a language elective? No, it's not possible. And I think when you come into the Masters, if you come onto the Masters, you'll see that it is such a heavy syllabus that we have to cover that it wouldn't be possible to do a module outside. You just wouldn't have the time, and also so it's not something that is possible on the MA in accounting.
You know, Fionnuala, it's the same thing really about the part-time work and the electives when it comes to the higher diploma and the 2-year masters, the first year of the 2-year masters. It's so intense. The students will always say, oh my goodness, I hadn't realized there was so much work involved. But when you think about it, you're trying to cover all the financial and management accounting that a 3-year undergraduate program has done, together with what you need to cover to get your Cap 1 exemptions at the higher diploma level. So the time you would have to entertain any other elective, it just wouldn't be there physically, you know.
Yeah, no, and I think particularly the HDIP in accounting, that first year of the 2-year masters, as you say, when you're trying to basically cover 3 years material, I think that it is, I mean, it's not lectures in the morning and then we're studying in the afternoon on that. It's, you have a full schedule of modules that you have to cover. Just a question here about our class size is small. Yes, I mentioned that in terms of why it is that it's great to come to Maynooth. Our class size is on the 1-year masters, so that'll be the 2nd year of the 2-year masters. Yeah, anything between 15 and 35 students. So it's a lovely small class and the students get to know each other very well. And remember, you're creating a network of people that not only can support you this year, but also will be friends and colleagues as you go through. So when you go into your firm, for example, it may be that you'll have 2 or 3 people from the class in Maynooth University coming in as well. And I know, I don't know about you, Jackie, but I still am in contact with people that I was in at university with from an accounting viewpoint, because you would done exams with them the whole way through and met them throughout the course of your career.
Do you know what, Fionnuala? It's true. My closest friends will be friends that I really trained with, because, you know, you were working and studying and you had so much in common that we just have stuck together over the years. So yes, I definitely have made great friendships studying accounting.
Absolutely. And then the other question that was asked was, are there many international students on the master's programme generally? So if I maybe can talk about the year one, and then Jackie, if you want to take the other two programmes. So on the year one masters, absolutely, we have international students, and we have students, and they some of them will, as Jackie will allude to in a moment, some of them come through on the 2-year masters, and some of them are 1-year masters. So absolutely, yes, we have international students and are very welcoming of international students. We think we love we love that aspect of being a Maynooth University, that we have such a fantastic diversity of students from across the globe.
Yes, Fionnuala, it's the same with our courses here. We definitely have the international students, and as you say, love having them. Love their perspective on things, especially like I lecture in finance for accountants, and it's always interesting to see the approach maybe they have in India or China, etc. So it really adds even to the interest from the academic perspective to have the international students in the class. And because the class sizes are small, people get to know each other very quickly and become good friends.
Indeed, and just to clarify around the 1-year masters, you have to have an accounting-based degree, and you have to have your full Cap 1 exemptions to come onto the programme. And I know there's a question there about what do you need to have to be eligible for the 1-year masters. So we have international students on our 1-year masters, and they are coming through because they have come to Maynooth or another Irish university for their undergraduate programme, so they do have their full Cap 1 exemptions. But we would also have international students who are doing the 2-year masters. So as Jackie said, they would come on and do either their HDIP or stay on and do their masters in accounting. So just for the 1-year masters international students, you still do have to have your Cap 1 accounting exemptions. In order to get onto the 1-year masters in accounting, you have to have a 2-1 in your undergraduate degree. That's the what you need to have to get onto the programme.
When it comes to the higher diploma or the 2-year masters in accounting, you need a 2-2 in your undergraduate qualification, and the qualification, if it's an international student, must be akin to our qualifications here in Ireland. So it's a 2-2, so slightly different from the 1-year masters.
And then in order to go on to the 2-year masters, they need to get their 2-1 though, don't they? They need to get their 60%.
Yeah, they need to get 60% overall to move on to the next year of the masters. That's true, Fionnuala, yes. Yeah.
So it's consistent, isn't it? So we're asking that whether you have to have a 2-1 in your Cap 1 exemptions in order to come on to either the 1-year masters or the 2nd year of the 2-year masters. So the other question that I see here, I'm just reading in the Q&A box here, Jackie. Have students been able to get training contracts outside of Ireland in the past after the masters? Again, if I can talk about the 1-year masters for a moment. To my knowledge, no student of ours has ever tried to get a training contract outside Ireland after their training contract, so it hasn't arisen. So normally this Masters in Accounting is very much focused on the Irish environment, so it's really aimed at students who want to qualify as accountants in Ireland. Now, of course, and Jackie has already spoken about this, once you qualify, the world is your oyster, right, Jackie?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's the same with some of the higher diplomas. Like, you can get a training contract after you finish your higher diploma, and there's a good few of the students this year are doing that. They're going straight into the KPMGs or the PwCs, etc. But again, the international students are always very keen to finish out their training contract in Ireland, get their qualification as an Irish chartered accountant, and then go abroad. So like with the Fionnuala said, with the 1-year masters, the focus really is on getting your Irish qualification, your Irish training contract.
Absolutely, and I think that, you know, that it's that kind of, that's what I suppose that's what the Masters is aimed at, isn't it, Jackie? It's
Yes.
that idea that if you want to be a qualified accountant in Ireland, these are the suite of programs for you. But I mean, you know, I know that, for example, and some students say, for example, choose after the Masters, they choose to go down the ACCA route. Because perhaps they're thinking about returning to, maybe they're thinking about returning to China or India, where the ACCA qualification is very well known. So it really is up to yourself as a student. When you come out of the Masters in Accounting, you can either, the majority of our students go on to be chartered accountants, and mainly that's driven because that's where the main employee training contracts are. Isn't that right, Jackie? I mean,
yes, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And I was just thinking too, Fionnuala, that maybe it would be good if the attendees here haven't seen it already, is just to look at the downloadable brochure that we have for each of the programs. It will just give an overview of the modules, etc., and the exemptions. It might be useful if they haven't looked at it already. And under the School of Business, there is the postgraduate programs, and if you click in there, you'll get brochures that you can download that will give you information on the 3 programs that we offer. Now, you may have looked at it already, but just in case, I think it's a good starting point.
I'm just again going back down through the questions again, Jackie, making sure that we've answered all the questions that have come through. And I think there was one question there that asked, do you have exams in January? So, Jackie, do you want to talk about the HDIP, and then I'll talk about the Masters?
Okay, yes. So we've exams twice a year. So there's 2 semesters, semester 1 and semester 2. And typically, because we are mirroring the requirements of the accounting bodies, particularly the Institute of Chartered Accountants, we tend to have 20% as continuous assessment and 80% in a written exam. Now, the written exams obviously are a little bit different in the last year or so because of COVID, but we do structure them as written exams online. So exams would be in January. For some subjects, like the subject I teach, finance for accounting, is a 10 semester, so that's only examined at the end of 1 year. But the others, yes, there are exams, and then the same exams then in May, and the same kind of component, 20% continuous assessment and 80% written exam. So that would apply for the first year of the 2-year Masters and obviously the higher diploma. So that would be the exam structure.
And then with the second year of the 2-year Masters and the 1-year Masters, it's a different structure. So Jackie already alluded to the fact that her finance module runs across the 2 semesters. So there's lectures in semester 1, but no exam at the end of semester 1. The exams are at the end of semester 2, Jackie, right?
Yes, that's right.
In exactly the same way with the Masters program, there are no exams in January for the Masters. You'll have continuous assessments exams. Assessments before Christmas, so you'll have some in-class examinations before Christmas, but there will be no actual exam in January. The exam takes place in parallel with the undergraduate programs in May, and then of course there are the repeat exams then in August. So for the 1-year MA or the second year of the 2-year Masters, it's a slightly different scenario in that there are no January exams. The exams only take place in May. And again, like that, across 5 out of the 6 modules, it is 20% continuous assessment, 80% end of term exam, end of year exam. The thesis obviously is different. It's not done by an exam at all. It's you're creating a 9,000 word document that has to be submitted by the end of June. So I think I'm just looking down and just, oh yes, sorry, very important question, Jackie. When will the applications be open and when is the closing date? So the applications are open. So you can see there up on the screen, I've shared the codes in terms of the 1-year Masters. So the 1-year Masters is MH28, the 2-year Masters is MH30, and then the HDIP is MH32. And a pack is open. And absolutely, all you need to do is go in and apply via PAC. And the closing date is if my memory serves me correctly, the closing date is the end of June. Jackie, is that?
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, what I would say to you is that we would like you to get your applications in as quickly as you can, and we can give you an indicative offer. And then at least you know that you pending your exam results. or there's anything additional you'd like to talk to us about, you can always email us. And our contact details, as Jackie already mentioned, all the details are up on the School of Business webpage. And if you click into the accounting postgraduate page, you will see Jackie's contact details and my contact details, and we'll be more than happy to answer any queries you have by email. And I know both of us we're meeting. We have individual meetings with students also this afternoon that have been requested. So so there's lots of different ways of getting information about the programme if we haven't answered all of your questions now. So Jackie, I think there don't seem to be any other questions. Okay, so we'll wrap it up now. And thank you very much for joining our accounting taster session. And I do hope that we will see some, if not all of you, next year on our programmes. And in the meantime, the very best of luck with any exams that you are still doing at the moment. And it was very nice to speak with you today about our accounting programmes.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.